Hello there, my name is Sixo, but more on that later because it's time to talk Transformers 1. Yes, if you've seen my already dropped video on the huge gift crate I was sent very kindly by Hasbro and Paramount to promote the film, you'll have seen that I've recently picked up the studio series Megatron and Optimus Prime. And I'm hugely excited for these, especially as I think the designs from the film are great, so I can't wait to check them out in toy form. Now I will say both of these are available to order at TFSource.com, so I'll put a link to their site down in the description below and you can check them out for all your Transformers needs. As for today, I think we're going to kick off with Optimus Prime first of all, especially as I've been pretty intrigued by this guy since I've seen him on toy shelves and things before here in the UK. And I don't know, there's just something about this design that I find kind of adorable. Like, I don't know why. I know he's not supposed to be cute as such, but I just kind of find it so. There we go, he's free. Mustn't forget these bits on the back. These little wrapped up parcels still make me laugh. I don't know why. Those are adorable. Those are very adorable. Got all his little accessories in here. Bits and bobs. I think we've got an energy axe in there. You kind of never know what you're going to find in these little bags, do you? So there's Prime anyway with all his bits and bobs. But it's fair to say I am just as intrigued about Megatron as well. Really looking forward to this one. After all, it is just as much his film as it is Prime's. No spoilers. But he is pretty great in it. I mean, he has obviously a really good arc. Definitely worth seeing that film on the big screen if you're not already planning to, which I would think most Transformers fans probably will, right? And that's Megatron free, and we've got all his little bits and bobs kind of tucked in under these little sleeves. Looks like a bit of a multi-part fusion cannon going on there, so that's quite interesting. And that's you lot with Megatron, looking quite leggy on this design. I really kind of dig that. And then all his various bits and bobs as well. Anyway, we'll go ahead and get them kitted up. And the first thing with Optimus is you want to install this little piece under his backpack just here. Seems fairly straightforward. You just kind of clip it into place, like so, and then that just folds back down and tucks out of the way. And then you've got what I suppose are his smokestacks, which plug onto his arms, like so, fairly snug little fit. And then you've got one for the other side as well. I guess they're smokestacks, aren't they? If this was an earthen mode, they'd be smokestacks, but they're whatever they are on Cybertron. Of course, you can pop his teeny tiny little matrix inside there in the chest and fold that up, and then we've got his energy axe, which we can just install right into the fist, and there we go. I think he looks fantastic, honestly. Slightly strange color scheme because there's some really off grays here, almost kind of yellowed grays. Like, it actually does look slightly discolored, which is a bit of a weird choice, and like the red is not particularly saturated, which it is like a very vibrant red in the film, so I feel like people might have a little something to say about that as well. There's also the axe, which is actually yellow, I think, in the film anyway, from memory, with a kind of blue glowy outside, so that is a little bit of a departure. But you know what? Maybe it's not 100% screen accurate, but I still really like how it looks. Now, as for Megatron, the first thing to do is to install his backpack. It just sort of pegs on the back there, like so. And once that's done, you do have some peg holes on the side, so you can install two of his guns just on the side like that. I mean, that's at least what the instructions tell you to do, so why not, eh? Then there's this smaller cannon weapon, which just pegs onto the side of his wrist, like so. Quite a snug fit again. I did initially wonder if this tab on the front here as well, this tab hole could take it, but it's too small. And of course, he wouldn't be Megatron without his iconic fusion cannon. There we go, that's in place. And that's Megatron complete. And again, I think it looks great, honestly. Same kind of off-grey plastic. Like, I don't think it's quite the same level as Prime, but definitely not kind of a clean grey, which is, you know, he's quite shiny in the film and looks a little bit cleaner than this. So it is kind of an odd choice to kind of go with that slightly yellowed look. And it's definitely not discoloured. Like, it's uniform across the whole toy. I'm sure there are going to be people that are slightly worried about yellow plastic and that kind of stuff. But you can even see that the painted sections on the forearms, things like that, are the same colour. So definitely not a discoloured plastic thing. But it does look really good, very bowled over by how nice it looks straight out of the box. And it's really interesting to see them as a pair because they're quite differently proportioned, actually. Like, Prime is a little bit stockier, kind of bigger build, definitely got some more heft to him, some more chonk, whereas Megatron actually is leaner, got longer limbs, stands a little bit taller as well, like just at head height you can probably see. So that's a bit of a different dynamic than we normally get for kind of Optimus Prime and Megatron pairings, and it's interesting, but as I say, they definitely look the business. And yeah, you can't really go wrong with this kind of pairing, can you? You know, Optimus and Megatron are meant to be iconic enemies. I know they start out as friends, but spoiler alert, what can I say? You know, and these two, yeah, it's definitely working for me in terms of a pair of toys designed to work together. It looks really, really nice. So just coming in on the detail on Optimus here, I mean, firstly, that head sculpt is pretty great. Just the faceplate here, no kind of mouth option or anything for this, but still, I think, to be honest, that's probably what a lot of people will prefer anyway. So really nice paint on there, lovely little blue eyes, little silver sections, that kind of stuff. Really like the translucent blue on the windshield just there. And then that just obviously flips up to reveal the matrix underneath. And I think that looks super cool, kind of the little robotic detailing through there, how that looks. Really, really nice choice. Nice bit of paint up the top there as well. Can't really get used to this red. Like it's not a very deep, obvious red for Optimus, and particularly not how he's presented in this film. It's very much kind of like an off red or something like that. It's a little bit darker, a little bit less saturated, almost brown than I would have, more than I would have imagined. And it's the same again with those off grey sections, which is really quite a choice because it is much more of a silver in the film. And there are hints of that here with some of the sort of, it's like a little painted finish in places, or the way that it catches the light sometimes. And yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look bad, but it's a choice, definitely. It's certainly a choice. Really like the dark blue on the legs though, that's cool. And then you get nice little painted yellow on areas such as the toes. So overall, looks pretty smart. Similar story on Megatron, nice red painted eyes just there. Face sculpt looks amazing. Honestly, really good detail just there. And you've got lots of lovely like red paint and little painted detail sections on areas such as the chest just here. So that's cool. Again, that grey is certainly a stylistic choice. And I feel like people are going to have something to say about that because it's not silver. Again, it is a bit of a kind of off grey with a sort of almost yellowy tinge to it in places. So definitely a bit of an interesting one. Again, let's put it that way. But again, you've got some yellow paint just down the bottom here. Overall, looking very smart. Seems to be good articulation on Optimus. I mean, his head will move very far from side to side. It's on a ball joint, and actually it can go all the way up, like he can literally look right up, which is cool, and sort of just a little bit down. There's actually a sort of separate panel there for the neck, which also will wobble a little bit, so I guess that helps. Arms are also very good. I mean, they'll come all the way up at the shoulder and right the way around, slightly impeded by this little bit of kibble just on the inside of the upper arm just there, but it's not a deal breaker by any means. And there is also a butterfly joint, so you will get a bit of a rock just there, so that's kind of nice. So decent, definitely in that shoulder. You've got a bicep swivel as well, so that's pretty good, and about a 90-degree bend at the shoulder, so not bad. Bit of wrist swivel just there, and molded hands. Now there is a waist swivel on this guy that you can see there. I say waist swivel, it's quite high up. It's more sort of an ab swivel if anything, but hey ho, it works. And then the thighs are quite interesting because there's like a singular hip skirt piece here, which you have to kind of move up out of the way, a bit like his pants. Just kind of fold them up there, which is, I mean, hey ho, whatever works. And then that will allow quite a decent range at the hip. Kind of comes all the way up like that. It's just, yeah, it does look a little bit weird with this section, not going to lie, but it is what it is. And then, yeah, as I say, good motion at the hips, and actually decent bend at the knee as well. That comes down to about 90 degrees, give or take. And then there is a bit of rotation at the thigh as well. And you can wiggle his toes a little bit from side to side. You've got very good ankle tilt all the way out, in fact. And then the toe itself will kind of move back and forth. So yeah, pretty good. Which all told makes him pretty nicely articulated and fun to pose. And I really love stuff like the way the head can look straight up, because it just makes him that much easier to get into this kind of dynamic pose. Things like the ankle tilt as well are a real gift. So yeah, overall, great. As for Megatron, well, again, you've got decent articulation at the head. Can't look up really much at all. Can look down, but thanks to a transformation joint, kind of sticking his face into his chest there. But hey, it's a look. That's his kind of, I don't know, angry, evil leader look, isn't it? I guess. Is he evil? I don't know. You'll have to watch the film and find out. You can judge for yourself. But yeah, then you can turn that arm out just like that. There's actually a little sort of space that allows for the shoulder joint just there to kind of fit in. So that's pretty cool. And that will swivel all the way over as well. No butterfly joint on that one. So a little bit more limited than Optimus, but not bad. Now again, you've got a bicep swivel, so that's pretty good. And then that will bend just over 90 degrees at the elbow, just like so. And then I think, again, there is a bit of a wrist swivel going on, but molded hands, so that is what it is. Actually, I tell a lie, the elbow is double jointed, so it goes all the way over. Now again, no ab crunch, but there is a waist swivel and kind of in much more of an appropriate waist place on Megatron, so that's good to see. And no hip skirt on this one either, but you can bend the hips right the way up, so past 90 degrees, which is really, really good. And then the knees are a bit of a strange one, because there's a really strong click into place with them. There, you really have to kind of force it out. I mean, you don't have to click them back, when putting them back sort of straight or whatever, but they can just click back into place like that. And then again, snap out of place. It's I almost had a little bit of a crisis of confidence with it the first time, just like, oh, am I going to break something? And it is the same on this one, like, there we go, wow. And they do just tab back in, but actually getting them out is does require quite a big snap, so just be prepared for that, I guess. But you do have a bit of a thigh rotation just there. The legs will go 90 degrees just there, and there is a little bit of ankle tilt as well, not as much as on Optimus, which is a shame, and no toe articulation. So yeah, overall a little bit more limited on this guy, but not bad. And again, poses really nicely on the whole, looks great. And you know, I think if I'd have checked this guy out first before Optimus, I wouldn't have even noticed the lack of things like a butterfly joint in the shoulder or whatever. It just happened to go second, but still looks great, honestly. I mean, as a set of toys, they certainly do the business in terms of the looks, the feels. It's absolutely giving me what I wanted from this pair. Now, in terms of gimmicks and features, there is a bit of weapon storage on Prime. Pretty straightforward. You can just come around and tab in the axe at the back like so. That sits pretty neatly. And that leaves his hands free for the other little feature, that being the matrix. Just got to get it out of there to begin with. There we go. And then this is pretty nifty because there's actually little tab slots just on the outside of his knuckles like so, which mean that you can, there we go, just peg it all together and he can look like he's holding his matrix, even though technically he's not. I haven't personally seen that before. Maybe it has been done on other Optimus Prime toys, but I think that looks, it works, it looks pretty good. Now, as for Megatron, there is a bit of weapon storage for him as well, because as well as these blasters on the side of his backpack, if you flip it up, you can actually put this little piece just in there like so, just tabs in very neatly and stores pretty nicely actually. And it's not in the instructions, but you could technically flip this up and flip these kind of over his shoulders like so. I mean, is that something? I guess so, yeah, that looks kind of cool. Alternatively, you can just remove those parts altogether and then place them in his hands, as you would expect. And then he's holding them a bit more like a traditional gun, just there. Or indeed, in this one, you can put them on the side of his arm as well, or you could do that in place of the fusion cannon, so choices. And then in terms of comparisons, you can see him here with a bunch of different Generations figures, including Earthrise Optimus Prime, the Origins Wheeljack, the 2-pack, Comic Edition 2-pack of Zaran, and the Siege Impactor mold as well. And he looks good. I mean, he's certainly smaller than the Earthrise Optimus, so maybe a little bit more dinky than some might have imagined. They do feel a little bit small in that regard, but I kind of like the scale, to be honest. I think it works, and it's a sort of separate thing anyway, really. And you can see him with some bad guys, and it's a similar story, really, isn't it? He's a bit smaller than you might imagine. You can see him here with the Takara Tomy Dramatic Capture Nemesis Bridge set. That's Megatron, Shockwave, and Soundwave, all based on the Siege and Earthrise molds. And there he is with Reactivate Starscream as well. And definitely a little bit smaller than some might imagine, but I think it works. I mean, for my part, the main thing that I want these guys to kind of work with is each other, and they definitely do that. So it's a handsome pair of robot modes, some slight weirdness around the colours, things like that, but you know what? I really think they look good. So let's go ahead and check out the transformation. Now, Prime, first of all, you want to twist his head all the way around, flatten it back like so, and then push it down into there. Bit of an unusual manoeuvre. Then you want to take his backpack, raise it up, and just kind of spin it around. Then give him a twist at the waist, and then fold this section back like so. That reveals this front panel section of the truck, which just kind of lifts out like that. Now we come to the robot mode arms, which just kind of pull out like so at the shoulders. This bit here, which is the sort of internal bit of the arm, folds into the side of the cab, just there. And then this bit actually folds down and tabs into the side of that front bumper. Same thing on the other side, just pull that out, fold that side panel in to the side of the truck, and then just tab it in down below. This next bit's cool because this is obviously the top of the robot mode chest, but this panel from the backpack now just folds down and very snugly fits over the top, and I think that works really well. Then for the legs, you just want to flip these panels around to the outside like so, and then fold his toes down. Same thing on the other side, and then you can just go ahead and tab those together. Now here you just want to push that hip skirt up like so, and then this whole bit folds down, and then it's actually the hip joint which pushes up, and then you kind of want to just angle the knees ever so slightly like that, which enables you to just lightly push that hand into this little peg that sort of appeared on the side of his leg just there. And then it's a similar story over here. It should just be in just about the right position to get it tabbed in nicely without too much force, and there you go. And not counting any additional pieces, that's Prime pretty much done. As for Megatron, you want to remove that fusion cannon and then take the hips, fold them up, and then actually this joint down here folds down like so, and then you just want to twist the leg round at the knee. Same thing on the other side, fold that round, and we're done. I'm just kidding. Here you want to lift these back panels up like so, just put them out of the way for now. Fold this foot down and that clicks in quite nicely. And then this whole section comes up, rotates back around like that. Same story over here, just fold that panel up, fold the foot in. It does take a bit of a click sometimes. And then fold that whole panel round like that. And then these pieces are the bottom of the tank just here, so you want to make sure this bit on top is straight. Okay, his chest panel pops open and comes down, and then you want to take his head, turn it around, and then fold that all the way in. And then we're going to look at the arms, and it's easier to show you from the back because you want to twist it round like so, and then just move the hand like that to kind of come in line with the treads, which is rather clever. And then you want to make use of this double joint just there, and you've got to be quite precise with it, but just twist it over like so, and it just tabs into place. Similar story on the other side, just turn it around, twist the hand to face the right way, and then just make use of that double joint. Just fold it over. I have found it a little bit fiddly to get these bits tabbed in, but there you go. Okay, this next bit's clever. So you want to fold that whole back section up like that. That comes all the way up and then clicks into place. Then these arms are going to want to rotate around to kind of come into place like so. And then that backpack, which can be removed, but you don't have to remove it, just folds round like that. I've still got his gun in the weapon storage at the moment, but get that out of the way. A couple more bits left to do. So firstly, we'll get that chest piece into place. And then on the side here, you want to make sure that these panels can clip into the kind of top of the toe just there at the front. And then they're going to clip into, I think, what's the hand on the back there. And then there you go. It all just kind of slots into place like so. And kind of this little arch piece just goes over there. Just making sure that you got the toe tabbed in as well. Similar story on this side. Just make sure it's all kind of lined up. You might want to get the foot into place because that seems to be the key bit just there. And then at the back, just tabs in from the top. And then if we come back to the chest piece, you'll see there's 2 tab slots either side. So just sort of push that down and they will, there we go, slot in from the side like that. Now comes a cheeky little bit of parts forming because you want to take the 2 guns, so his fusion cannon and that other blaster that fits on the side of his wrist, and tab them together. And this time it's the fusion cannon at the non-firing end that's going to tab in just under there like that, and then that makes the barrel of the tank. And again, barring any extra bits or bobs, there you go, that's it done. And there they are together, and I think that's a fun pair of transformations, honestly, about right for Studio Series in my opinion. Not too complicated, but there's certainly enough there to kind of keep you entertained on a kind of collector level or whatever. They're not difficult by any means, but they're not straightforward either. Like, you're not going to do it in a couple of steps, so there's enough there to kind of, I don't know, keep your brain active or whatever. I thought it was fun, creative. They're enjoyable toys. Maybe some people are going to kind of quibble the parts forming element of Megatron, I don't know. And there is, you can just see his face under there as well, so that is a little bit strange, but it's not the end of the world, honestly. So you can just not pose the tank like that, I guess, but hey ho. Looking at Optimus in truck mode, first of all, it's pretty cool, does roll really nicely, so that's something. And I don't know, people are maybe going to have opinions on this as like a truck mode for Optimus. I think it works pretty well. It's obviously like classic truck Optimus, but in a kind of Cybertronian form. I think it looks decent. This is a good approximation of that. I'm maybe slightly underwhelmed from the back, if only because the hands are so visible here on the sides. I mean, it's a similar story with the feet too, but to be fair, that's kind of normal for Optimus Prime truck modes or whatever, even some Tronian ones that you can always see the feet. But the hands in this case really are kind of obvious, and even the hip skirt and things. It's once you notice the hands and the feet, you start to notice other things as well, like the hips and then the knees and whatever else, and it kind of becomes a bit more man lying down, I suppose. But you know, it works. It's really just the hands that I think are kind of maybe slightly egregious here. From the front though, I think he looks really cool, and again, that blue windscreen catches the light so nicely. Love the little smokestack gun things here. I think that's cool. And then you can actually add a little bit of extra armament as well, because you've got that additional piece which just tabs, in this case, onto the front bumper like so, very securely it seems. And if anything, that kind of completes the look. You know, he's a bit more of an armoured up Optimus now. I think it looks better with it in place, actually, kind of a bit more purposeful, and makes him look more like a kind of Cybertronian combat vehicle than something just approximating the image of an earthen truck, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm digging that. Now there is a bit of weapon storage here too, because you can just split the legs like so, and then this axe will pop in, I believe, on the knees, just like so. So you sort of tab it all back together. And that's cool. I think that works really well. Overall, really like that transformation. I'm very happy with it. Now, of course, you've got some options with Megatron 2 with these little side guns. I guess you could just leave them tabbed into the side of the old backpack section there if you really wanted to. But on the instructions anyway, it shows tabbing them into the sides of the tank like so. And yeah, again, I think that looks really decent. You know, it just gives them a little bit of extra firepower. Honestly, I really like how this tank mode looks. I'm often a little bit dubious about Cybertron tanks because they can just kind of look like, again, man lying down with gun. But this, you know, this works pretty well. It is a little bit strange to see that there's no wheels or anything like that, so he is just scuffing along the surface there, which is a little bit lacking in grace, but never mind. But you can articulate that turret round to the side as well if you wish. I mean, again, just be careful not to reveal his head underneath, but there is a bit of a range of motion there, so that's quite nice. But you know, as a pair of Cybertronian vehicle modes go, this looks good to me and certainly reminds me of the film, so that's good, and yeah, I'm very happy with them. And then here you can see the Optimus with Earthrise Optimus in that truck mode. Very different style, of course, but kind of cool to see them lined up together, you know, like a potential future of what may be in this universe. We don't know yet, but yeah, that looks fun. And then here you've got Megatron with the, well, it's the Earthrise Megatron mold. Again, it's that Takara Tomy repaint that's just been come out as part of the dramatic capture set, but you can see that he's significantly smaller there, and maybe a little bit less imposing, but to be honest, I don't mind that. You know, this is very representative of what you see in the film itself. And given that, you know, the robot mode is of a smaller scale, it makes sense in that regard. So, you know, again, it is what it is. Overall then, I'm pretty happy with this as a pair of toys. I think it's really nicely done. Great transformation on both of them. Really nicely represented in robot mode. The vehicle modes are fun as well. So what more do you want at the end of the day? You know, in terms of first impressions, it's definitely a toot. Now again, I'll be sure to put a link to TFSource's site down in the description below so you can check them out if you want and pick these pair up. They're still available to order now. And I'll also include some links to all the various ways that you can support me on the channel, including Redbubble and Ko-Fi and Patreon and all of that kind of stuff. I'll also throw in a link to another video on this channel where you can win this awesome 2-pack of Emirate Zarin and Flame, which is up for giveaway at the moment. There's just a couple of days left on that, so go and check that out if you haven't already. All you need to do is sub to the channel and leave a little nice comment on that video, and you could win this very soon. Otherwise, that's it from me, so thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day. TTFN.